This is ANN News Brief.
Ethiopia's President Sahle-Work says thousands of Ethiopian nationals have returned home from exile since she introduced a citizen-centered diplomacy. Work told lawmakers at the opening session of the parliament on Monday that the government had in 1 year managed to return home most of the 2 million internally displaced persons. She also said that in the past 1 year, the government had facilitated the return of more than 90,000 Ethiopian nationals who were stranded abroad and living in difficulty in several countries around the world. Some of them were in prison. President Sahle-Work told the annual joint session of the House of People's Representatives and the House of the Federation that only 100,000 people remained in IDP camps. Ethnic conflict in the country intensified after Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed took office last year, forcing many people out of their homes. She said that past mistakes will be corrected to make the May 2020 general election free, fair and democratic, adding that legitimate measures will be taken against illegal activities that may undermine the election. State Security Prosecution Court in Egypt has released 200 persons arrested along with hundreds of others during protests in Cairo and other towns last month. The Egyptian Commission for Rights and Freedom said the demonstrators had faced charges of protesting without permission and using social media to promote terrorism. The Egyptian Center for Economic and Social Rights figure shows 2,800 persons had faced prosecution for anti-government protests that broke out on September the 20th. We'll be right back.
Whether in your house, at your office, on your phone or online, we are there. We have the facts behind the headlines. We cut to the chase with the news you really need. We cover every angle. We are the bigger, better news network. We are African News Network. ANN. Watch ANN News on MITV from a truly African spirit.
African heads of state on the sidelines of the UN General Assembly have met to discuss urgent collective action and the need for greater collaboration between the United Nations and the African Development Bank to fast-track Africa's development. United Nations Deputy Secretary General Amina Mohammed says the meeting convened by the African Development and the United Nations is the first of its kind between the two institutions, taking place at the UN headquarters, focusing on the continent's 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development, the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, and the African Development Bank's high fives. She says it's now the decade of action to deliver the goal, adding that the role of the African Development Bank is crucial to help de-risk investment and attract investment flows. The 2-hour meeting, moderated by the African Development Bank, was attended by 7 African presidents from Chad, Democratic Republic of Congo, Ghana, Guinea, Ethiopia, Lesotho, and representatives of some 30 governments. The leaders called for additional resources to drive the urgent task of Africa's development. That is ANN News Brief. For details on these and other breaking stories, visit our website, annafrica.news. Conversation continues on our social media platforms, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at ANN Africa TV. I'm Lucy Ademi.